right, guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm gonna let you guys do a quick intro. Rick, you start, and then Ray, you jump in after.
Okay, I'm Rick Lindsey with X Insurance and the boat racing team of X Insurance Racing.
Good deal. I'm Ray LeBady, RJ LeBady Construction, general contractor, state of Florida, home builder, remodeling, metal buildings. I have my own garage door business and always starting new things. Also, president of Englewood Beach Water Fest. Been involved with the boat racing for 12 years, and none of it surprises me what's going on. Just get a kick out of that.
I don't know what's going on. You got to get like an update every 10 minutes, but we're just going through the year best we can, right?
Absolutely. It seems like every year is that way.
Yeah. So is your race an APBA race this year?
It is, absolutely. We haven't made the official announcement, but we're waiting for a couple things to come together. We received our tourism dollars from Charlotte County Tourism ahead of time. Last year we had to wait till after the event. Last week county commissioners approved that. But of course, we turn around and give it right back to them because that's part of the fees for the park, for the sheriff, police, and EMS. They charge us like 38 grand just to use the park.
Right.
And the guys who help us set up the park, they charge us FEMA rates, which I don't get. So we have to do it.
I've never been to that race. I've heard a lot about it, and I think the first year I went to Key West, Inglewood was actually after Key West. Now it's before Key West, right?
And we think it's a lot better, for sure. So after was, OPA was involved then, and Smitty did the best he could to drag teams out of Key West. And after going to Key West, personally, seeing how tired everybody is and beat,
Right.
it's like, why do they want to come to Inglewood? And so I think it was really good that APBA gave us that opening. The October 8th, 9th, 10th, changes every year, that second week of October. So we're looking forward to another great year. We're going to bring those Thundercats in. I thought those were pretty cool to watch. Did you see those on the beach, Rick?
Yeah, no, that was cool. Mark, one of our guys, was in one of the boats, so he had a lot of fun. I think the second day he was hurting, but first day he thought he was young again.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's like us playing men's softball in the local tournament. We about killed ourselves one year.
Right.
About us 40-year-olds. That's back when we were 40 plus, and we couldn't even drive the car stick shift the next day.
Right.
Stay in your lane, stay in your game. I guess the best thing.
Yeah, softball and pickleball, that's the like soft sports, but those are the most dangerous I found.
Pickleball, and these 80-year-old guys were saying, if you're not a level 3, you can't come on this court. And it's like my first day trying. I said, screw it. Here's an open court. We're going to go on it. But that's good. But, I was talking to Cody yesterday and talking about change it to insurance here. And we're in the middle of Hurricane Ian, Helene, Milton. For the local resident, it was a nightmare when it came to insurance.
Right.
I just wouldn't work with anybody that had to do with insurance because you're worried about getting paid. So, I don't know, do you have insurance here in Florida to
Oh, yeah.
insure a lot of...
Well, a lot. State Farm spends $1 billion a year just advertising. So, most insurance companies are huge. And that's one of the problems is they take too many risks on in one area. Obviously, agents and brokers, they want to write as much as they can, but like food or anything else, you can only digest so much. So, and, there's reinsurance, but you still have to manage the claims. And so my first experience with catastrophe was Katrina. And I had 1,100 insureds in Mobile and Biloxi, Alabama. Biloxi, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama. The New Orleans insurance commissioner or Louisiana insurance commissioner wouldn't let us write in New Orleans the year before Katrina. So if I'd have been in New Orleans, Louisiana, that whole state, the three of them, it would have, killed me. So sometimes your best day is your worst day. The regulator wouldn't let us right there, so I had, a third less claims, and New Orleans was definitely worse than Biloxi and Mobile. But, the problem is the whole system is not ahead of the ball, just like in sports, right? If you're behind the ball, you're screwed. You're going to lose. And so I had all of these guys calling me, Crawford and company, all the TPAs or claims managers, and they want to go out and do bids, right? They're like, hey, you want to assign me your claims? And I was like, well, if I give them to you today, when are you going to go see my insured? Right? And they said, oh, we need to get all the orders, and then we'll hire people, or we'll bring them in from out of state, but, you're not going to get in there for 60 days. So, Mark Fisher, who still works for me, and some of the guys who've retired now, they flew down there, and we took pictures of every house. We met with every homeowner we could. A lot of people, evacuated, and you can't meet with them if you want to. But, that was where I learned that you can't take this shit lightly. Right, you have to actually show up and write people checks within a week, because contractors like you, roofers, all these people, they don't know whether the insurance companies will be able to pay or when they're going to pay. And, when you're buying the policy up front, now, people fit into two categories. One is, I'm never going to have a claim. Right? Well, in Florida, you can't say that. Right? In California, you can't say that anymore. If you run a trucking company, you can't say that. If you're in a business that is a target of litigation, you need to have a plan that executes. Now, Lloyd's of London always hated property and liability in the U.S. Property was storms. So they wouldn't write worse storms like 10 miles within the coast. Liability, because of the legal system, they call it long tail, right? So you can write contractors this year. 10 years from now, you're still getting claims. You're still developing a loss ratio. With property, the storm comes, it hits, you can go do it. It's called short tail business. But since Katrina, where litigation continues over wind versus flood claims, you have two policies, and the two policies, we're never going to meet and say, okay, you're going to pay your $10,000 and I'm going to pay my 10, right? You look at me and say, Rick, that's a flood claim. That's your claim. And I look at you and say, bullshit, dude, that's a wind claim. We're very little water, right? And so since Katrina, litigation over wind and flood just makes lawyers rich, and insurance companies take the exact opposite approach. They increase your deductible, right? They start looking at, oh, well, your roof's 20 years old, right? If you come to me with your home, when I take your money, I should say, Ray, your roof's 20 years old. So, you need to maintain your roof. That's part of this whole deal. And if you don't, I can insure it, but I got to charge you more money. So, people who maintain their stuff are much better off than people who don't. Well, X Insurance is my national broker that I started in 1985. In 1994, I went to Chicago and took over an insurance company called Prime Insurance Company. And we ride in all 50 states. We do all kinds of businesses. We do homeowners, personal umbrellas. We do dog bite insurance, and so again, companies in a lot of cases.
Finding, doing all these claims. I did like 10 hurricane remodels. None of them, it's in my contract. I'm not doing insurance, you're paying cash, and you can wait for your money and do your own paperwork. Yeah. I'll send in, give them all the invoices, give a line item what they spent, and let them submit. They were okay with that. Some people got money, some got 10 grand, some had, like you said, the You had to pay $10,000 for your deductible. Some was $5,000. The other thing that I ran into was like the serve pros. I've got a company that I've found locally who does the mitigation, does all the storm molds, mediation, contracting. He's half the cost of ServPro. It's like we compare apples to apples, and we're still making money. So how could ServPro give you a number, and all of a sudden they get the job, and they're double the cost? I mean, that goes.
Well, I mean, again, it's like everything else, right? The deals that are made, like insurance companies used to have in-house lawyers, right? And that was a big part of their staffing. Now they outsource it, thinking, well, we don't have to have on-staff lawyers, right? We'll just hire them when we need them, and that's cheaper. It ain't cheaper, right? You've now created a separate task where they have separate liability, they have separate interests, right? So if I can come out to your house and your roof's brand new, before the storm comes, I should be able to tell you, or we should be able to do a mock claim, where if this claim happens, I'm going to write you a check for $300,000, and you need to pay $3,000. Right? What if you can't pay the $3,000? I will loan you the $3,000 as part of the policy, so we can get the house fixed. Because the longer it takes to repair shit, the more expensive the claim becomes, because you got loss of use, you got being put out of your house, you have to do all this extra stuff. Insurance companies, again, it's going to cost you 20% more because everybody wants the contractor now, right? Contractors just want to go to work, and I don't know if you know it or not. But
we want to get it done, and we want to move on to the next one. But a lot of the customers, every customer that I worked with the hurricane, they had to leave the house. So some of them had to pay out of pocket, and some did have insurance coverage.
But the sooner you can get back in your house, the better. The sooner a contractor shows up, and again, you shouldn't be searching for the cheapest contractor at a time of people's trouble. You save money by spending more money, right? If I have a big account, I say, hey, Ray, when can you get out there? Well, maybe a week or two. Hey, what does it take for you to get there today? We
did. We showed up on the phone call. We get the call in the morning. We went there immediately. We brought contracts with us, signed them, and moved on, and we put everybody right in the queue.
But like you said, you guys, contractors, know that I ain't starting work until I see money, because now I'm at risk, and I can't be at risk. I'm a contractor. I need the supplies. I need to pay my workers. I need to get this done. So the problem is insurance never pays quick. I bet you most adjusters get a claim done after a storm within 6 months or later. So people are sitting around 6 months not doing anything.
Well, look at Charlotte County, the tourism, everything, the beach. They could not get their claim and couldn't get their money. So they had to take it out of the reserves, fix the beach, which is only 70% complete now, and waiting for their money. I don't know if they got their money, but they're still waiting. And this is a county.
But if your insurance company shows up, write you a check. We did a brand new hotel in Fort Myers, and we insured them when there were 2 hurricanes a couple years ago. First storm, my guys, my in-house guys, I'm not hiring other people. We go down there, we meet with them. It's a brand new hotel. Like, I got the guys here ready to go. No deductible. Right, our policies don't have deductibles, because that's the other part. Most insureds don't have $100,000 storm deductible, and so we pay on a percentage. So I'll pay 99% of the claim, you pay 1%. So if you have a $100 million hotel, you got a $10 million deductible, right? And then all of that creates more games that go on. If I show up and I say, look, there's no $10 million deductible. This is a $2 million job. we're paying 80% of it. In this case, that was our deal with the hotel group that we insured. They paid 20 cents. With it, before the first storm, it was cleaned up and they were reopened. And then the second storm, I think it was 2 weeks later, same thing again. It was a little bit worse. It got their lifts in their garage, which were all brand new. That was, I think, another 270 grand. But it's real easy if you're an insurance company and wants to do it right. You show up and you write a check. You don't hire other people to show up with a clipboard. The biggest lesson I learned in Katrina was the ones that we couldn't get into, and then when the homeowner would call 2 months, 3 months after the storm, we would send an adjuster out to look at the home and take pictures and send them to us because we weren't there. And every one of those, or the majority of them, we got sued because the guy couldn't measure correctly. You know, they have those rolling tapes. And the lawyers will make any damn argument they can. So now my rule is, look, we know the square footage when we write your building. There's no reason to measure it when we're trying to pay your claim. What is the purpose of that? Oh, we didn't do our job properly when we took your money. That's why they're doing it again. It's all stupid. It's
Well, the learning curve that I had was, thank God I met this guy, Jim, with his restoration company. He had the Xactimate program. He taught me so much. He would look at other claims and how much other people missed, just like it said. It's like, it's insane how these adjusters can miss stuff. And we're going along, and well, like I said, I don't do the insurance work, but we still go along. And
well, again, you've gotten to the point in most contractors is you look at the client and say, look, as soon as you give me money, I'll come fix it. But I don't trust these damn insurance guys to deal with them, so you got to pay me cash. Well, if I show up and write my insured a check, then it's the insurance company money, but the insured can give you the money, and that's what breaks the log jam and all of this. You know, it breeds litigation. Lawyers in Florida are, you know, very happy that they get to make a lot of money by suing insurance companies.
well, look what happens with my
things to do.
My liability. I sent some paperwork to you all about my liability insurance. You said it was crazy with the cost. I mean, I was paying like $3,000 for my little bit, and then I turned around and it jumped 60%. So that's why you questioned why I was only spending $3,000. Right. I'm talking to my insurance agent. How did it jump so much? They blame Morgan & Morgan. They blame all these other big lawyers that come in and sue everybody. So I have 50 subcontractors. They have to be insured, be on my property, on my job. And then I'm paying off of what I pay them. Say I pay $4 million in a year, my insurance goes up crazy for liability. Right. So how does that get fixed? And they say it's Morgan & Morgan's fault because they're suing everybody.
And the insurance companies settle 98% of claims. So Morgan & Morgan gets in the game, and really any plaintiff's lawyer, they're going to sue you for some huge number, like $5 million, right? Then after 3 years, we get to the courthouse steps and they drop to $1.9 million. And the defense lawyer on our side says, you know, we've got them from $5 million down to 1.9, which is a huge move. And now's the time we can probably settle it for $500,000 to $1 million. And if you know the facts of the case, I say, bullshit. This isn't worth $1. Right. They sued for $5 million, and they're like the bully on the playground. You're paying attention to how big they are instead of what a wimp they are. Just punch them in the nose. And so, you know, we take.
I'd love to get away with that.
We take Morgan & Morgan to court and get a 0, and now the plaintiff owes us the $350,000 that we spent, which is tort reform in Florida. And that's going on in Georgia, Texas, Louisiana. And, you know, we've always written in those states, and without the tort reform, the numbers are different. With tort reform, we have the opportunity to turn it back unless you never fight anything. If you settle a 0 claim for $500,000 and think you saved $4.5 million, you're an idiot. And the more people you involve in our relationship, right? It should be you, the business owner, and me. When the claim's submitted, we decide this is frivolous, we're not paying it. And then we don't change that
And
plan on the courthouse steps
I,
because our lawyer, the one I'm paying for that represents you, he's going to be telling you, Ray, if I can settle this for 200 grand, that would be a deal.
yeah,
Not if it's a zero claim, right? Now, if they'll take 2 grand, maybe we think about it, but we never signal that, right? We tell them this is frivolous and we're taking it all the way. If we lose, we're going to the appellate court. That's the whole
so are
point.
all your claims that you had in Florida done complete and everybody's happy? I mean, you
All
still
of
have
my
construction
claims in
projects?
Florida are done and
Tell me.
complete from,
Because I
any
drive around Englewood, and you could drive around when you're here. There's 100 houses that haven't been touched yet, and they're
Well, and I
just
would say that buyers need to wake up
uh-huh.
because they will, the one guy in the Miami Herald, he said, I know how to save in money. I had $1.2 million on my house and I dropped my coverage to 600,000 and now I got the price I want. Well, that's
Yeah.
called a co-insurance penalty,
Yeah,
right? And me as
Yeah.
a reputable company and a fiduciary for my insured, I will not let you do that.
that's right.
I said, dude, that's you can't underinsure stuff and then expect them to pay.
Uh-huh.
Right? You have to. It's like building a house. You have to have the proper foundation, or you're wasting your money building this nice house on a shitty foundation.
And now I'm
So-
dealing with FEMA 50% roll, which sometimes it's a joke. If you ask me, I can get through any house. I can say I can get it through, make the numbers work. The county's happy. Some you can't. You walk on a project, you see, geez, can I get it under there's none you can get under the 50%. It's always over.
Right.
Just how you work the numbers. I shouldn't be telling you that.
No, and again, I like I tell everybody has to, like a roofer. If you're the cheapest roofer, you're not doing your customers any favor. You're not doing me a favor. I tell people say, hey, let's just trade this. I'm like, dude, that gets too confusing. You're going to roof my house. I want you to do it right, and I want to pay you a proper price where you make money. Right? I don't want to pay you a price where you're going to go out of business.
They don't trade anyone anymore. If you want something done at your house, fine. If I want something done, you give it back to me. I'm not going to trade restaurant dinners for work. It just doesn't work.
It gets too confusing, and it's just I want to do business with people. I want to pay you. I want to, same with you. I want to do it right. And so foundationally, regular old outdated insurance is like a phone attached to your wall. It's never evolved. And like with FEMA and Freddie Mac, and they loan money to these big property owners, they require assault and battery. They require sexual abuse and molestation. Nobody gets it. And so now they have to buy a separate policy, which to me is just like wind and flood. Anytime you have to buy more than one policy, somebody's trying to take the cherry and leave you with the turd. And it's like, dude, the turd's part of my business. You can't, kind of cherry pick me and then have me buy a separate policy. Well, you can, but those two policies are always going to be at odds, and they're never going to help you resolve a claim, whether it's liability or property. So